Good morning. Welcome to Enduro360. I'm your host, Chili White. Today, we're here to talk about our Acerbis gas tank, the 4-gallon tank on the Husky TE250. Just back from Baja, we did a 4-day ride, and being as I was taking the 2-stroke, I decided I needed lots of fuel, and actually this tank worked out really good. So what we're here to specifically to do is go through a quick install. There's a couple of things for the Husky you have to do to make this tank just right. And it's kind of interesting because this is really the only kind of supersized tank for the Husky right now. Husky doesn't sell a 13-liter or 3.5-gallon option like they do for the KTMs. So you could mount a KTM one on here, but you'd be stuck with an orange tank. Hence, that's why we ended up with the 4-gallon that you see here, but it worked out really well. For Baja riding, we put tall gearing on here, 1448, and that really means this tank is almost a full day worth of riding. What that means, only have to mix gas once, and so that was a good thing. Pretty happy with it. It really isn't all that big, being as I ride with this style of tank, the 3.5 gallons. This is right in the same ballpark as far as the feel and so forth. So worked out really well for us. So let me show you how to install it. Here is our Acerbis 4.1 gallon tank. This is really for long mileage on the Husky. This is about our best option. As you can see, this is actually the exact same tank for the fuel injected 4-stroke bikes. They just drill the petcock slightly different. So pretty universal setup. I think it's going to work out real well for us. I like these Acerbis caps. It's a lot of pieces, but they hold together pretty well. So first thing we need to do is to get our petcock mounted in here. Let me get this around. I have a KTM 4-stroke petcock here. I've taken off another tank. One of the things, I always like to inspect this O-ring real quick. I can see that it's standing up just a little bit from the base here. If it's crushed too much, I'll replace it. I've got my handy dandy little Harbor Freight O-ring kit here, and this is something everybody should own. So in here somewhere, I don't know which one is the proper one to do to replace a petcock O-ring. This one right here. This will do KTM. These are match KTM fuel injection O-rings, which are really easy to cut. So just that little thing right there is enough to warrant having it. This little kit's pretty handy to have around. But I think we're good on this one, so let's go ahead and get this baby in here. The hole it's a pretty tight fit, but that's good. They'll help keep it sealed well. So these are our screws, same as KTM shroud screws forever. Sometimes you'll notice what's easier. This is always a little bit of a tight fit right here. Back the petcock out a little bit, get the screws in, get them started, and then let them pull it all down. That one is good. You'll notice I'm using my KTM toolkit 6mm here. If you're like me, you've had enough KTMs over the years, you got a couple of these laying around. What I did, because you use the 6mm all the time, was and it's just a changeable bit. I actually epoxied this on here, so this is stays in my toolbox as a permanent 6mm mount and works excellent. There's hardly a day goes by that I'm working on bikes I don't use this specific tool, and having a dedicated 6mm is awesome. We want to get these good and snug, but they're just going into plastic, so they don't have to have a lot of torque on them. Now, before I put this on the bike, I'll set this up outside, put a little fuel in it, just to make sure we don't have a leak. Way better to do it outside where I can get a hold of it quick and get the gas dumped out than having it completely mounted on a bike. All right. I know I've said this before, but I just hate having to monkey with these 2 bolts to get the Husky seat off. And you know, there's lots of ways to mount a seat with 1 bolt. KTM does it, old Huskies did it, everybody can do it, and these are just a pain. I mean, fortunately it's not something you have to do very often, but Still, there's better ways to mount a seat. Okay, we've got the stock tank and seat stripped off of the Husky here. We've got our tank. I have put a little fuel in there to make sure we've got no leaks. Everything looks good, so let's put this baby on. Pretty straightforward here. Not a lot to see. Slides right into place there. Check our throttle cable, make sure nothing's pinched. That's it. We got one bolt to put in. Okay, so our bolts are in place, our vents on. Actually, the tank is completely mounted and completely secure. Now we're going to put our seat on. Now, I already know this will require a slight modification. Let's do a little dry fit here. We're using the Seat Concepts cover and base, but it's all the same as the OEM. So it actually, let's see if I can get it here. So what it requires, it won't slide, the seat won't slide quite far enough forward the way it is. It's really close. Well, after doing a couple of test fits here, what I've decided is we just have a little too much material, too much plastic right here at the front of the seat. It's running into the gas tank and it's just not quite letting everything slide forward. So we're going to do a little mod on this. Just take my aviation snips here, cut this back a little bit. All right, let's do a dry fit here and see if we're doing any better. Feels a lot better. Yeah, that all slid right into place. All right, that was all we needed. We just need to relieve a little bit right there. You can see how this lip, there's a step right here coming from the post up to here. And so let's throw some staples back in here. I've got a good, again, Harbor Freight stapler that shoots T50s that I use normally if I'm recovering seats, but let me try my hand stapler here. We don't need a whole lot of purchase. Yeah, those will drive in fine. Okay, last thing that leaves us is our fuel line to hook back up. Stock fuel line. Looks like it's going to fit in place just fine. Those little KTM lineman style pliers are the perfect thing for taking these OEM style clips on and off. There we go. We are ready to go for a big long ride. Want to guess where we're going? All right, well, hey, this is Chili. Thanks for tuning in. We got a few more things to prep here on our 250 before we head out this week, but we're going to go have some fun.